Tafshin Pedalet. Apologize. I am very stressed about time and can't give this share as usual time, so I'm recording it. I'm gonna try to explain the carbon Olah. We're starting a new Sefer Vayikra. The pasuk is, we're gonna see the psukim. Let's go directly into the psukim. Starting very interestingly. Okay, Vayikra Moshe, this I'm going to explain on Shabbos. There's too many soides on this. However, let's start with the second pasuk. Daber b'nei Israel, speak to the b'nei Israel, ve'omarto aleiha. Interesting language. Daber, which is a harsh language, to the b'nei Israel, and tell them. But you already said it once. Because of omarto is a softer language. So does he have to speak harshly and impose it? Or does he have to speak softly and convince them? It can be both. So what is a daber ve'omarto? It's a repetition. Adam ki yakriv miken. A person, really what the Torah means to say, a person from amongst you, that's going to bring a carbon. But if I would translate literally, the way it's written, because it's written, a person who will bring as a carbon one of you, will bring a human carbon. Because if the Torah really meant to say what I said originally, it should have said, Adam mikem ki yakriv. One, a person from amongst you that brings a carbon. But here it says, no, it's after the verb. It's Adam, a person, ki yakriv, that it's going to bring, mikem, one of you, carbon lashem, a carbon to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mina behema, from the behemoths, min habakar, from the cattle, umin atzain, and from the flock. 1 second. If min habehema has no purpose, and we can only bring from cattle and flock. So just remove it. What do you mention? And especially just a repetition, because domestic animals are cattle and flocks. So you didn't have to say min habehema. It's totally superfluous here in the pasuk. Takribu, you will bring es korbanchem, your korban. Oh, really? Now it's my korban. Prior you said korban lashem. It's a korban to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we have to bring. Now you're telling me I'm bringing my korban? What does it mean? First mitzvah of all the korbanos is im oila korbanoi. Like, I have a big problem with this. Because he should have taught maybe Chatas before that. Because commonly people make mistakes and they sin, so they have to bring a lot more Chatas than they have to bring Olah. Why? Because Olah only comes for having bad thoughts. And, I think it's more common that people by error make a mistake and then they realize they were choite, so they bring a chatas. So we should have started with chatas. We olam asiya, we in the olam of doing, and doing things is a common thing to people. Person who catches himself, on that thought, I need a carbon, on that thought, I don't need a carbon, Im oila korbanoi. And here we go. Namin habakar. He has to bring him from the cattle. Before it says from the cattle or from the flock. Okay. But if he brings one from the cattle, Zacha tamim yakriv. It has to be complete and male. Cannot be like some other korbanos, male or female makes no difference. No, it has to be a male. Where does he have to bring it? El Pesach oy hal moed. at the gate of the Ohel Moed. Why not by the Mizbeach? Since when we have to do a Korban right at the gate of the Ohel Moed? By the Mizbeach, in the Beis HaMikdash, they had the anchors. They used to anchor the animal and shechter. So why by the Mishkan here, the Olah has a different din? It has to be Pesach Ohel Moed. You're going to see that word coming very often in Parshas Vayikra and in Parshas Tav. Lirtzoinoi lifnei Hashem. As he wishes before Hashem? No, it's an obligation. If you sin by machshava, you have to bring a oila. Lirtzoinoi, he realized missing the first vav, but he has the second vav. And it's a very interesting verb here. Lirtzoinoi. I mean, I don't know if it's a verb or not verb. Very hard to explain in the pasuk what is the intention. Lifnei Hashem. I mean, what else? What do you bring this up? I mean, we're going to the Mishkan, we're going to make a korban. What is lifnei? You have to be before Hashem. Then there's a whole procedure that a pasuk only reveals it, very, very small part of it. I'm just going to read because we're not going to have time to get there. V'samach yadoi al roisha oila. He's going to put one hand. It says here one hand, not two hands. What happens if I put two hands? What's the purpose of doing this? What the purpose of putting the hand on the head of the korban? So the Rekanati says on here, it's to transfer the sin on the head of the animal. And as I'm going to go along the shir, you're going to understand this. Vernit saloi, and at that point, vernit saloi, it's almost an indirect tense. Look at this, vernit saloi, and it'll be accepted by who? Lechaper alav, to have a kappa. Why is it in a direct tense? Here, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be mechaper if we're talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We said before lifnei Hashem, but here we seem to be talking about something totally different. V'nir tzaloi. It will be accepted. If I have time, I'll give you just a peek on this. I mean, the whole avodah of the Olah, if you look in Sefer HaMitzvos, there was a very specific way how to remove the hide. Because you cannot just remove the hide and then cut the body you want the way you want. Had to expose certain part in the body. It's a very long process. It was 24 kohanim working at one oila. So much work there was. Just to tell you how many, why all this? What's the big secret about the Carbon oila? What does he do? And if it's such a secret and it does so much, what about us today? If it's so important, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you know what? I have to break every rule up in Shamayim and create a special chesed for you in order to enable you to be coming back, to do tshuva, insinuating that the sin of the wrong thoughts goes much further than a sin by a doing, by an action. So we have to understand, exactly what it means and where everything falls into place. What is the thoughts? Where does it damage? How far is damage? How do you rebuild the person and so forth? First thing, there are 5 Sfarim. The Midrash says there are 5 books of the Torah. And 5 times the word oyer, light, is mentioned. And each one is keneged. It's about one of the chumashim. So it says, Yehi oyer. By here, this we talk about Sefer Bereshis. It's the light of the. Don't have the time. I don't want to extend too much on this point and losing the main point. And the Midrash explain why it does fit the bill here to say these words about Sefer Bereshis. First, Shemois start with the Geula, start with the Shirbut, finishes with the Geula and the Mishkan, and it goes on. And which is Sefer Shemois? It says, by he oyer, there was light is about Sefer Shemos. So I start again. Bereshis is Yehi oyer. It's the creation. By he oyer, and there was light because there was a Geula at the end of Sefer Shemos. And we got the Mishkan, which is the upper lights coming down. That the second time it says oyer. Vayar, the third time, Vayar Elohim es ha'oyer, the light, ki toiv, and it's a good light. Sefer Vayikra. Why? Because there's a lot of halachas. This triggers a tremendous question along the questions we have asked before. Yes, you're right. There's a lot of halachas, like the halacha of Tuman Taira in Tazria, Mitzoira, halacha of kashrut in Pasha Shmini, the halachas of Kedusha, which is the base of a Jew. If you want to be in Ben Yisrael, we said many times, Yisrael is not a noun, it's an adjective. And very soon, those who come to the Shir on Shabbos in the afternoon, they will understand that Yaakov and Israel, it's not Yaakov. Yaakov is a noun. Israel is not a noun. And it's a midah. And at that point, we have to deserve to be there. Most commonly, a person, you have to eat 3 times a day. So if you eat 3 times a day, the very common thing is either Kedusha, Tuman Taira, because it's instantly, you always have to be aware of you, what you're doing, because it's like almost Shabbos for a Jew at the time in Eretz Yisrael when you had to keep away from Tuma. Everything you had to do, you couldn't touch a sheretz, you had to pay attention. If water fell on fruits, that it could be mekabel Tuma, so it was a hard work. And basically filling your day, which is more common than Korban Olah, which happened also after Beis Hamikdash. So why starting with the subject, the whole Sefer Vayikra, which refers to the light, but the light which is good, the light of the third day, the third light, Ki Tov, refers to Sefer Vayikra, and the first halacha is, what is the first halacha? The Olah. You couldn't find anything better to teach me than the Korban Olah. Is it so important? Alright, when the Beis Hamikdash is not here, we can bring a Korban Olah. So it doesn't affect all the generations. It affected, 830 years of when the Beit HaMikdashes were up, and 480 years of the Mishkan. So altogether is 1,310 years. We up to 5,780, almost 5,800 years in the world. You're telling me that a quarter of it, not even a quarter of it, and you want to teach me a halach on this? What about teaching me Tuman Taira or kashrut? What's permitted to eat and not permitted to eat? Because this went through time. And after 5,784 years, it's still of actuality. Let's get out of the pshat. Let's go deeper now. And we're going to find peace, calm, understanding, logic, massive learning. Massive. So the Zohar in Parshas Pinchas explains that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he created it in a way that the mazalis, they will be in control of the lower world. They will define this guy is on the mazel, he gets this fine, this guy is not on the mazel, so he's not getting. However, with Avram, HaKadosh Baruch Hu added a letter Hey. Why a letter Hey? Because in the future, his children will receive the 5 books of the Torah in Har Sinai. And as soon as they will receive these books of Torah, they will elevate themselves from above the mazalas, and they will be only controlled by the upper mazal, which are the 2 attributes of the 2 of the 13 attributes, which is Noitzer Chesed and Venake. Creating a Chesed because sometimes the person just doesn't deserve. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a midah of Noitzer Chesed, to create a Chesed even when there's none that applies to that person. And Venake is sometimes we have to go before Hashem, and like Haman. He had to come to the Mishnah with all the schmutz that his daughter, poured on him. They didn't let him take a shower or change clothes. He went in such a bizarre. But you see, sometimes we have to go before Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Rahmanus on us, and he says, "I'm going to clean you up. You don't deserve it, but you know what? I will clean you up." Like on Yom Kippur, on certain days, whenever you're going to see and hear the name of the Bina that he calls Benake is the Aleph, Hey, Aleph, Lamed, Pei, Hey, Yud, Yud, Vav, Dalet, Hey, Yud. Equals 161, equals Benake. Why? Because the Bina, we know, is the Olam of Tshuva. Everything started with a mother. That's the concept even in Shamayim. The same way that in this world you need a father and a mother to have children, in Shamayim you have the Chokhmah and the Bina, and together they had Kaviyachol children, Zah and the Malchus, a son and a daughter. So the Bina, being the mother, has everything, give life, everything that we have is basically connected there. If we chas v'shalom transgress something from the Bina, in that case, we lose our freedom, because the Bina is Olam Acheres. The 49th year, the 50th year, it's called the Yovel. You have the 7th year is the Shemitah, that we stop working the fields. Every 7 Shmitas, you have 1 Yovel. 1 Yovel is 50 years, 50 Sharim of the Bina, Olam Acheres. So when you feel that you you enslaved by whatever, a boss, it's because there's something you're doing that affects the Bina. And we know this is where, and after that you learn where in the Bina this happens, so you can pinpoint more or less what you're doing, and that affects that part, and you need to release it. So when the Bnei Israel received the Torah, they became different people, and they superseded the Mazalis. But this is only when they learn the Torah that they receive. Because if they do not learn the Torah that they received, they considered behemoths. And it says, Aru kol shoichev in behema, exactly as explained in the Gemara in Psachim, that it's talking about the daughter of Amaretz, the one who marries the daughter of Amaretz, the curse of someone, Chas v'sham, having intercourse with the behema applies to this. Because a person thinks, a person understands, a person wants to know. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. He is the Eloike Eloikim v'Adoinei ha'Adoinim. So that's his world. He tells us how the world is working. When your car or when you have a machine and you don't know how to operate it, you're looking at the book that the manufacturer provided together. Same thing with the Torah. I know in this world, you're the boss, right? That's what you feel. A person like this is a playfair. Why? Because if I exist and I take that spot, means Hashem's covenant cannot be on that spot. So that person is removing HaKadosh Baruch Hu from being everywhere in the world. And it's just this guy's imagination that he can take this place. He doesn't really exist. He's really a nothing. You know, he's in a train and looking at through the window at a life that passes. But you're not really an actor because you cannot affect anything in the world. If we try to summarize the word of the Zohar into something, into one short image, you would see that Limud Torah Lishma, learning the Torah only for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Limud Torah Lishma equals 1076. It says 5 times the word light in the pasuk. First time it says Oyer, 207. Second time it says Oyer, 207. Third time it says La Oyer, 237. The fourth time it says Ha Oyer, 212. And the fifth time it says Har, another 212. And you find out, and now you add all these numbers, comes out to 1076. Exactly the words of the Zohar HaKadosh. Who is Zoiche to the light? The one who learns Torah Lishma. Now, very interesting thing. As a whole of a nation, we represented by one midah in the Shechina on its on the Kesser of the Shechina. And you hear commonly, you know, this name, Knesset Israel, the gathering of Israel, which is one thing. When we come down to this world, it seems like we are individuals. I'm not him, he's not me. That's totally wrong. Because the same strings that attaches you up to the Shekhinah goes down to your friend and attaches him. Now that you think that you're not connected because you don't see a connection between him, a lateral connection doesn't mean anything because the connection is via the Shekhinah Kedusha. So it's stupid to think that way. So if you take Knesset Yisrael, which encompasses all the Bnei Yisrael, with the Hey of Avram of the Chamisha Chumshe Torah, which is the Malchus, Knesset Yisrael with its Hey equals exactly the 5-time light. In other words, another way to get to the light, the Eir and Sof that was shining at the beginning of the creation, is to be a part of the many, not to feel individual. An individual is about Gaiva. To be part of a many meanings, I'm just another one. I'm insignificant. I'm just another grain of salt, grain of sand in this world. That's all I am. And the grain of salt of sand will be here for a long time on earth. But us, no, for a very short period of time. After that, we return to the Knesset Yisrael, which is our real place. The only difference between then and now is now we are dressed with the bodies that were made out of the legs of the Nachash that were cut off. So since Adam Arishon followed the Nachash, followed the advice of the Nachash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you love him so much, I'm going to make you part of him. You're going to, now we carry on us every time the proof of the curse that was, concurred by the Nachash. And again, so limud Torah lishma is one hand. When you just the part of many versus being individual, then again you access the light of the Ein Sof. We go a little bit deeper. It's so about the book of the Sefer of Vayikra. It says Vayar es ha'or ki tov, and trust me, all this is part of Olah. I'm not trying to give you a drush on Vayikra, whatever. This is, once you understand that, you're going to have a very strong understanding about what the Olah is all about. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world with one name. At least the Shamayim and the heaven and earth we created with one name. The name of the Das. Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey. And that's why you find it says Daria Kodesh at the first letters of these four words. S is Aleph, Hashamayim is Hey, V'es is Vav, first letter. Haaretz is Hey, Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey is the name of the Das, and it's signed in the Torah as it is the name that was used by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to create Shamayim and Eretz. If you take Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey together, equals 17. Toiv. Vayar Eloikim es ha'or ki toiv. The light was good. What do you mean good? In other words, what means good is not I feel good, I'm having a vacation, I'm enjoying this. That's not good. On the long run, it will cost you. However, what's good is once in your mind, everything you calm, you poise. You're trying, when we do these excursions and everything, we're trying to bring the lower world into possibly and try to calm down and try to be b'mnucha in the head and everything. No. The Baal Hashem said, put toiv in your head and everything around you will be toiv. So Vayar Eloikim es ha'or ki toiv. Toiv has to be in the das. And when you are in the moed toiv, then the sitra achra cannot come. In other words, you attach yourself to the Etz HaChaim, to the das of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the sitra achra cannot come and make you sin and make you think the wrong thoughts. In other words, there was an introduction by the Torah here, or by the Midrash, hinting that Vayar Eloikim es ha'or ki toiv applies to Sefer Vayikra, because I'm gonna give you an amazing teaching here. That the whole reason the person sinned with his machshava is because he's not attached to the toiv in his das. He goes to paroi. In other words, I'm not gonna sin whatever, but I'm gonna desire. I'm gonna start thinking about it. Thinking about it. Okay. Hirhurim Ryan. I think this one I'm gonna write it for you because this is, we're getting very fundamental here. Oh, yeah. By the way, also the hay is the key to Parnasa, because Yosef Atzadik says, hey, lachem zera. With the hay, you have zera. It's children, it's everything. Anyway. So you have here, Hurim, Roim, bad thoughts. Okay. Okay, my keyboard stopped working. Equals 786. Equals Keser Elyon. When we do an action, we only affect an action is in the action world, from Chesed to Malchus. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hoid, depending how bad the action is, that's part. When you have a thought, you're going above them, and you're going right into the Kesed. Right into here. That far, can you believe if someone was touching Chas v'shalom, the Keser of a king, or affecting, he wouldn't remain alive. You know that. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, yes, you chayv misa, but I'm going to create a path. That's the midah of Neitzer Chesed for a Jew. I'm going to create a bridge to get you out of trouble to back to the normal place, and I will return you to someone better than you were even before the sin. How is the Olah? What, it has magical power to turn somebody? So we understand now the little problem he had in his head, how he came to have bad thoughts. We understand why now bad thoughts are affecting extremely high. However, it's not understandable the magical powers that the Olah has to do that. I understand what a bridge is. Yes. It's something horizontal, strong, that enables me to go over a cliff or over something. You can walk over it. But the Olah, you take an animal and you're going to go slaughter it. Once it's slaughtered, it's a pretty harsh avodah. What's going to happen? Why? That person is the one that sinned. What did this animal do exactly? Nothing. Was saying a shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu every day. So why exactly is he ending up like this? And what is the human is being saved? That's not normal. Something is not working. So where is, I need to understand how the Korban Olah is removing. I understand the sin is beyond human capacity to resolve, to absolve, to do tshuva, whatever word you want. I understand that. How taking an innocent animal and killing him, yeah, to the Mizbeach, fine, would absolve me from a thought and change my mind and change everything. So I'm becoming now even better than I was before. You understand here, it's not a simple process that just bringing an animal and doing whatever we want on it. The Rekanati HaKadosh, was a Rishon explains the whole purpose of the Olah and the different avodas that apply to it is to show the person what was supposed to be his punishment. It's only to mark him. he has to understand that when he sees the animal being shechted, he was supposed to be shechted. When he sees the animal being thrown down harshly on the ground, which means skila, he was supposed to have skila. And so forth. The full depth of Beis Din applied to that behavior. I understand now that there is a learning and a teaching side to it, to the person. However, how does it make it right? Because you want to teach a person, a sinner, he should take responsibility. How does it make it right to take an innocent animal and kill him that way? It's not right. So how can it be a Korban Olah? Actually, the Olah, the one that goes up, because we need to go much higher than what we usually go with our tefillahs, with everything. So we need an elevator to go repair all the damage we did in the upper spheres. Just I'm opening a parenthesis here because the Rekanati mentions it. Usually he's very brief in his language, very hard to understand him. Let's say he was not a man that sinned, he was a woman. Because it's part of halacha, so we have to bring it up. So it is a woman that sinned. So if she sinned, she goes into the Mishkan, she goes among the Koyanim where all the men mingle there, that's fine with you? In the Makom Kodesh, like the Mishkan? So how is she bringing a korban? What he reveals here, it's like amazing. And through this, we're going to learn another halacha. He says, no, she could not bring it. So she had to come, let's say, by the Beis Hamikdash with harabais, and then she would have a shliach bring it to the Kohen. However, when the Kohen Shech, there's an obligation that he has the picture of the man in his mind. The Kohen is part of the avodah of the korban. All the avodas that the 24 Kohanim were doing in the Olah, they had to picture the sinner. Because what they do here, for them to expiate the person through the korban, they had to have him in mind as if they do it to him. Now we have a problem. The woman is not appearing directly on, before the Kohanim. So how would the Kohanim picture if it's a request, if it's just in order that since he sinned with machshava, so it's enough to kill him and to do all these avodas on him b'machshava. This I can equate, I understand. Ase machshava umevatel machshava. Will come a machshava and cancel another machshava. They're the same strength. I'm fine. However, how do you do this if it's a woman? Ari, she cannot come in. The Kohen never sees her. So how did they do it? Says the Rekanati HaKadosh. You remember how the kiyor at the entrance of the Mishkan, at the entrance of the Beis Hamikdash, there was this big vessel that they used to drop into a well and come bring it up every day and get fresh water because the Kohanim had to wash their hands and their feet prior to go into the Mishkan. Otherwise, they'll be chayav misa. So now, very interestingly, this kiyor was made out, the mar'os hatsoiv ois, was made with the mirrors of the women of the Bnei Yisrael in Mitzrayim that still beautified themselves in order to give some respite to their husband, and they used to go give birth in the fields so the Bnei Yisrael, so the Mitzrayim should not find the babies and kill them, And then so on the Midrash. We went into the Shirim last year, not this year in Shmos, but it was last year, that the babies, the Mitzrayim used to come to the fields because they knew they were there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu used to, took them inside the ground for until they were growing up, and feed them there and so forth. And they used to come out as beasts with hair. You know, I think it's last year, Parsha Shmos. Whoever is interested, it's there. It's the Midrash. So the woman, HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid them back for that mitzvah of chesed. That was the only thing that was holding the man clinging into life, their wife. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the mirrors with which they were beautifying themselves, and at the entrance of the Kedusha, this is where it is. To show you the Maaseh Chesed, when it's really well meant with the Das Toiv, remains in the Kedusha. So when a woman was sending her korban, the Kohanim were approaching the kier, and they could see in the mirror the face of the woman that brought that korban. And that was enough for them in order to have her in mind when they did the avodah. Amazing. From the Remarkably Torah, it's an amazing Torah. So now you see how Torah, in every aspect of, some guy said, oh, it's not, I don't know. You know, us our women couldn't have, and so there was another din. Learn, you will see everything is in Torah. The fact that you don't know and you think you know and you want to say it's not, everything is in the Torah. Everything. Now we're going to understand. So we have the reason. We don't have the reason why the men, but we don't have the reason why the animal. Every time we have a korban, it says Reyach Michoyach Lashem. It goes as a scent that is appealing. Put it that way, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is the scent? The scent is because when someone, okay, you have Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. A person is composed of 4 blocks. The guf, the body. Inside the body, even though the Nefesh has 2 sides, I'm not going to go into it. Nefesh. Inside the Nefesh, the Ruach. Inside the Ruach, the Neshama. That's how a person is alive. When a person has a bad thought, so when a person does an action, the wrong action, you know, a wrong deed, so he's affecting only his nefesh. Mostly, unless he speaks Lashon Hara, which is gone. Though, when he has a bad thought, it's affecting the nefesh and the ruach. And because the nefesh and the ruach are tamei, automatically the neshama cannot stay. But it's not affecting directly the neshama. Is affecting it by I want to say by transition, because it's affecting the ruach, automatically the neshama has to go. So instead of having a neshama, a nefesh and a ruach from the kedusha, after we spoke many times about it, after the bris milah, is getting the yud ke vav ke inside and the shakai outside, like the mezuzah. Now he's gonna get the sam inside, because the sam, the Yetzer Hara, is providing him a nefesh to remain alive. So his life belongs to the Yetzer Hara. This will remain true what I've said and what I've asked, especially what I've asked, only if a person was, in order to absorb the chet, would only have to bring a carbon. That's the only thing he has to do. However, if there were a lot of additional things to do, then the carbon is only a little part. And this is where it's going to be my focus here. So we asked the question. On one hand, it says carbon lashem. When you bring it, it has to be intended to a carbon for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the end of the pasuk calls it karbanchem, your carbon, not the carbon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but your carbon. So if it's your carbon, how can it be carbon lashem? It's a contradiction. Now let me explain. The carbon is only the tip of the iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg stands on a huge mountain which is underwater. So only what we see is the carbon. But what needs to be done prior to bringing the carbon is huge. What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling us here? With carbon lashem. If we want to analyze what's hiding behind these words, this equals 408. You remember on Yom Kippur, after Nsane Teikef, we say 3 words. Oshuva, Osfila, Utzedaka, Ma'avirin Esroya Agzera. Only through tshuva. It doesn't say carbon. Only through tefillah. And only through tzedakah, the 3 together, that's the only way to remove a bad decree. Not one by itself, the 3 together. Now, in all the machzorim, you will see under tshuva it says tzayim. Under tefillah it says koil. And under tzedakah it says mammon. You know what the common denominator here? Each one equals 136, which is really the name in the Das also in expounded, but I really don't have time to go into that. Otherwise, it would have been interesting to show you how everything depends on the Das. So, same, koil, mammon, carbon lashem. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells me, bring me a carbon, it doesn't say bring me an animal. No, bring me you. You the one chayav. How you going to bring you? Because when you're going to make it soim, you're going to be makrif part of your blood and your fat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're going to use the koil. And you're going to use mammon, which is part of you because you acquired through effort, which burnt out calories, and that you give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the main core. As we said earlier, the other carbon is only to transfer the sin. Why is that? I'm going to explain you that part. But prior, I just want to make sure that we understand the words of the pasuk now. Adam ki yakriv mikem. One person who's going to bring one of you. A person is going to bring one of which is who? Him. Then korban lashem. Before you even bring your korban, you better be in tshuva, in tefillah, in tzedakah, then the avodah of the carbon can work. That's why it says in the second Beis Hamikdash, in the Gemara in Yuma Chaf Aleph, in the second Beis Hamikdash, when the fire used to come out, it was not coming from Shamayim, which is Malach Uriel, coming of a shape of a lion that was in an instant burning the whole carbon. It was coming from the hole on the ground as a shape of a nasty dog. And who is the dog? The dog is the Sitra Achra. She is the dog. And she would eat part of the carbon, whatever she wanted, and leave the rest, and you had to burn it the whole night, and so forth. So that's why the smoke in the first Beis Hamikdash was straight to Shamayim, and people, Bnei Israel, were looking in the new, HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects us, he loves us, because the Ashan was going straight up, while in the second Beis Hamikdash, he was zigzagging and going all over. Because people were not genuinely making tshuva when bringing the korban. The korban is the expression of myself understanding that what is happening to that animal should happen to me. That far a person has to internalize this feeling until he comes and correct, because it's so huge to hear a rim rhyme. Why is it so huge? Why? Okay, bad thought, but you didn't do an action, it remained internalized. Yes, those things, I'm going to go with Musar, thoughts bring to action, and so forth. That's not what the Torah said. Torah is here is pointing to us that the thought on itself is huge. The action that will be done after is less of a chet than what's done now. So why is it so huge to have a bad thought? The Zohar HaKadosh reveals that when a person, there's, I'll explain you this. The Sitra Achra, we said many times, equals 480, equals the lily. When a person has a bad, she is the one who brings the thoughts, the thoughts of, Rashi says, what is bad thought in the Gemara is in Yuma. Rashi says Tavas Nashim, about woman. Who brings this? The Zohar says the lily, the Sitra Achra. Why? Says the Zohar. Because with this she will get pregnant from that guy and give birth to Shadim. Now, hey, buddy, we have a relationship here. It's not like you're alone. You have to pay child support, alimony, and everything. You will pay, buddy. You will pay because they are very strong, these people. And they start from the children. First thing they do when they're born, they're mekatrek. Especially, that's why al pisoid, al pi Kabbalah, the children do not walk after the beer of their father. Because if Chas v'Shalom, he was not mesaken everything about the bris, it means there was still, this is when they come and they trouble the dead, they trouble him terribly, and they mekatreg on him. So they give him a tremendous fear. They enjoy, like those children, they hide behind a boo. And the more fearful you become because of this, you jump, the more loss they have at your expense. Same thing. These guys, they're late sonim. All the midah is late sonos. And they come and they make the person suffer, and before even it's the din, and the more he suffers, he's not even in the Beis HaKvaris. Do you think he doesn't see, he doesn't hear, he just can't talk? But yes, he sees everybody around him. He knows what's being done to him. But now he has the vision, the laser vision. He sees also the other side. He sees how he's welcome in the Beis HaKvaris by the others. If he has good deeds, they all get up from their place and they come and welcome him and accompany him to his place and so forth. There's a whole process. Don't you think that the guy is dead, he's gone, he's finished, blah, blah. No, we are dead here. They're alive over there. There's a whole olam going on, and they don't have to depend on the strength, on the calories, on the medicines. There's nothing. They work. They do avodah. They're under the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they make them suffer. So you understand that it transcends the life. So when you do an action, it's in this life. Correct it. So you're under the 7 meters. When you do when someone has a machshava, it goes all the way to the Keser Elyon, and he affects it because he affects the Knesset Yisrael. And if you realize, we said Sitra Achara 480, Hadas is 480. That's the weakness of Am Yisrael. The Sitra Achara will always try to come and try to take us down on the. Now, why we said why the animal? Because the Zohar HaKodesh, and I'm going to try to finish on this. I wanted to give you a tremendous gematria, which on the Keser Elyon, but I'll give you something else. Oh yeah, where is it hinted in the pasuk? To answer our question, it says Mina Behema. So why it says Min Habakar or Min Hatsoy? Mina Behema, a cattle and a flock are behemoth. So you could have just said Mina Behema, say Mina Bakar, Mina Hatsoy, don't say Mina Behema. If you're taking Mina Behema, Mina Bakar, or Mina Hatsoy, equals 786. Keser Elyon. You have on one hand here Hurim Raim, bad thoughts, affecting the Keser Elyon in the middle. But on the good side, you have what? The carbon you're going to bring, since it says Mina Behema, the Torah hints you here that it's going to correct the Begam all the way to the Keser Elyon. How? This is the magic. This is the magic behind it. Remember the Rekanati said you put a hand on it and you transfer the sin. Let me decipher you that. A person, as we said earlier, is made out of the Oyer HaNachash, with the flesh that were on the legs of the Nachash that we cut off. The Behema, us, it's only a small part. We have very small part of the DNA of the Nachash. However, a cow has 33% of the DNA of a Nachash, of a snake. Today it's proven. Actually, the cow is the animal that has the closest DNA of a non-snake family to the snake. More than this. It was 30%, sorry. The para aduma, that the real cattle that we're looking, the red heifer, that we're looking and we take the tuma, is the closest of all the animals to the snake, 35%. Amazing, right? In other words, this behemoth is tehoira because he has 65% of non-nachash, but he has 35% of nachash. We take the part of nachash. We only sin because this eshes zenunim, put out bad thoughts in our head, and we didn't have the toiv in the head and the light of the Ein Sof that would burn those thoughts. We didn't have it in the head, so therefore we crumble with the thoughts, and now we have a big sin on the hand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I'm going to enable a trade here. What's the trade? Who brought the sin? Those guys. Send it back to those guys. They gave it to you, right? They stick it to you. Now they want to claim you're the owner of it and they're going to pay for this. No, 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 no. This person is not the owner of it. You're the owner. Anything in darkness, you're the owner. And once you give it to him, he will accept it as long as you give him a little something of Kedusha, because this is how they live. Nobody can live without a sparkle of Kedusha. It's going to be burnt on the Mizbeach. That part, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says. Now you remember the question, Venir Tzaloi. And so, here, you said we couldn't explain. He will put his hand on the head of the Olah. Venir Tzaloi. Now with what we know, and they will accept it. Lechaper alav, so you can gain kapara. The other side will accept the trade. Now we're returning to the nachash. Why? Through this animal, because this animal is the closest DNA to the nachash. And we're going to use it as a vehicle to give it to the nachash. And for those who think that the animal is being punished, and I'm going to answer the last question that way, when the animal is walking to the shechita, to the mizbeach, you know, shechita, why on the gar, and we've seen that. It's saying shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he can die, and with his nefesh, expiate the sin of a Ben Israel. He's giving a shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because this is a full accomplishment for an animal. And he's thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving him the opportunity to accomplish such a, you know, the ultimate mitzvah for them. However, we have a Gilgul in this animal. We have someone. You know that on every animal, if we eat it, anyone that's going to go through shechita, we have a Gilgul. It's not any animal that comes to the Mizbeach. It's whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows in his cheshbonos, which neshama is about time to get elevated from behema to medaber, to a person, and go up. That's why Olah going up. Olah is not only bringing you, correcting an upper thing. Why going up? Because the main thing it does, the Olah, it repairs the Gilgul. The person, why is the person expiated from his sin? Not because he took an animal, killed it, and yes, he has good thoughts of tshuva and he burns it on the mizbeach. No. Because you brought now up a neshama that was trapped there as a trade. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is expiating also your sin. Yes, you put it on the head of the animal, your sin. Yes, he will go through the burning process to the other side. Yes. But the true kapara is through the fact that you enabled a Gilgul, and that was deep in there. But since you brought this animal with tzoid, with tshuva, with koil, with tefillah, with mammon, with tzedakah, ma'avirin esroya gezerah, gezerah on who? On that Gilgul. Oh, you helped that Gilgul. Your thought and your tshuva was so intense that you were able to bring him before his time and be mesaken him. But the Baruch Hu says the din is you have kapara. Because nobody can touch the keser. There's no midah, there's no access we have to the keser with anything we have. Only chesed. That's how we can reach it. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen. Hashem, I'll see you on Shabbos. Take care.